Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to be continuing on solving linear equations, and this is part 3. So if you missed part 1 and 2, then you can go ahead and check out on those videos. So stay tuned. Okay, so for our first question we're going to have 6 open bracket 4x minus 1 is equal to 6. So that's the question there. So basically what we would have to do is look here and see what's happening. We see that we have this 6 here and we have this bracket here. And in order of operations that we learned in primary school, they told us that the first thing we would have to remove is the brackets or parentheses, depending on which one you learn. So once we are able to remove the bracket, the equation would be much simpler to solve. So let's get that done. So what's happening here is we have a 6 here, and then the 6 is right next to the bracket. So we can't see the operation that's happening, but because the 6 is right next to this bracket, it's telling us that we should multiply. Okay? So that's what's happening. The multiplication operation is happening. So what we're going to do is multiply out the 6 throughout the whole bracket to every term that's inside the bracket. And as you can see, we have 2 terms inside the bracket. We have a 4x and we have a negative 1. So this 6 should be multiplying out throughout both the 4x and the negative 1. Okay? So that's what's happening there. Okay, so let's get started. We have the 6 here, and the first thing we're going to do is multiply the 6 by 4x. And we know that 6 times 4x is just going to give us 24x. And so the next thing we would have to do is multiply this 6 again by the negative 1. Okay? And we know that 6 times negative 1 is just going to give us negative 6. And then we bring down the equal sign and we bring down the 6. And that's basically how we would remove the bracket. And so now we would just solve for x. Remember, what we want to do is get x by itself. So let's carry this negative 6 over the equal sign. And once we carry the negative 6 over the equal sign, where we're going, so let's just add. Let's add 6 on both sides. Because when we add 6 on both sides of the equation, this negative 6 would cancel out with this positive 6. And that's how we take it over the equal sign. So then we'll have 24x is equal to 6 plus 6 as our resulting equation. Okay? And so now let's just add. We know that 6 plus 6 is equal to 12. Okay? And so to solve for x, what we would want to do is just divide by 24 on both sides of the equation. And 24 divided by 24 is just 1. So that would cancel out. And so x would be equal to 12 over 24, which is just 1/2, because 12 goes into 12 once and 12 goes into 24 twice. So then x is just equal to 1/2. And that's how to solve that question. So let's move on to the next question. Okay guys, so for our next question, we're going to have 2 open bracket 2x plus 3 is equal to 20. And so let's just do the same thing that we did in the first question. We're going to remove the bracket first. So we can see here that this 2 is being multiplied throughout this entire bracket. So let's get that started. So let's firstly multiply this 2 by this 2x. And we know that 2 times 2x is just 4x. And now let's multiply this 2 by this 3. And we know that 2 times 3 is just 6. And that's going to equal the 20. And that's basically how we remove that bracket. So now let's just solve for x. Let's subtract 6 from both sides, because when we subtract 6 from this side, they cancel out. So then our resulting equation would be 4x is equal to 20 minus 6. Okay guys, so now that we have 4x is equal to 20 minus 6, we're just going to solve the equation now. So we know that 20 minus 6 is just equal to 14. So now we're going to solve. We're going to divide by 4 on both sides of the equation, because that's how we would be able to remove the 4 from this side of the equation. Because we know that 4 divided by 4 is just 1, and 1x is just x. So then we would have x, okay? And so x would be equal to 14 over 4. And let's just simplify that by using 2. 2 into 4 goes 2 times, and 2 into 14 goes 7 times. And so basically, that would be how to solve that question. So let's move on to the next question. Alright guys, so for our next question, we are going to have 3 into 4x minus 2 is equal to 12. And so this is similar to the questions we did before. And you can feel free to pause the video if you feel like you want to try it yourself. So remember, we have 3 into this whole bracket here. So let's get started. Let's multiply this 3 by the first term, which is 4x. And 3 times 4x is just 12x. And then we're going to multiply the 3 by the negative 2, which will just give us negative 6. And that's, of course, equal to 12. So now that the bracket is removed, let's continue to solve the question. Let's remove the 6 from the side with the x. So let's add 6 on both sides. And negative 6 plus 6 is 0. So they cancel out. And so then the resulting equation would be 12x is equal to 12 plus 6. Okay, so we know that 12 plus 6 is just 18. So then we would have 12x is equal to 18. And now let's just get x by itself. And to do that, we are going to just divide by 12 on both sides of the equation. And we know that 12 divided by 12 is 1. And 1x is just equal to x. So then x is going to equal to 18 over 12. And we simplify that by using 6, because 6 goes into 12 2 times, and 6 goes into 18 3 times. So then we're just going to be left with 3 divided by 2. And that's basically how to solve that question. So let's move on to the next question. Okay guys, so for our next question, we're going to have 2 into 3x minus 2 and close bracket, and we're going to add 9, and that's going to be equal to negative 5x. Okay, so this may look a little bit more complex than the ones that we did before, but that's okay. We're going to get through it. And so of course, just like we mentioned before, the first thing we would want to do is remove the bracket. And we see that this 2 is multiplying out throughout the whole bracket. So let's get started. 2 times the first term, which is 3x, is equal to 6x. And then 2 multiplied by the second term, which is negative 2, is just going to be negative 4. And then we just bring down the rest of the equation. Plus 9 is equal to negative 5x. And now that we've removed the bracket, we can just solve for x. So let's add 5 on both sides of the equation. So that, add 5x, sorry, on both sides of the equation. So that we would be able to remove this 5x. Because negative 5x plus 5x is just equal to 0. So once we cancel those out, our resulting equation will be 6x plus 5x minus 4 plus 9 is now equal to 0. Okay, so now let's carry over the constants on the other side of the equal sign. So the first thing we're going to do is add 4 on both sides of the equal sign, because negative 4 plus 4 cancels out and gives us 0. So then we're going to have 6x plus 5x plus 9 is equal to 4. Okay, so now what we're going to do is subtract 9 from both sides so that we can take 9 from this side of the equation. So let's just subtract 9 on both sides of the equation. Then these two would cancel out. And our resulting equation would be 6x plus 5x is equal to 4 minus 9. Okay guys, so now we're just going to continue to solve the equation. We know that 6x plus 5x is just going to give us 11x. And we also know that 4 minus 9 is just negative 5. So now we would have to get rid of the 11 by dividing on both sides of the equation. And we know that 11 over 11 will cancel out to 1. And 1x is just equal to x. So then x is just equal to negative 5 over 11. And that's basically how to solve that question. Okay guys, so for our final question, we're going to have 3 plus v is equal to 2 into 2v minus 1. Okay, and feel free to pause the video if you would like to try it out for yourself. So let's go. You know, the first thing that we have to do is remove the bracket. So let's just remove the bracket first. So we have this 2 here that is being multiplied out throughout the whole bracket here. So let's get started. We're going to multiply 2 by the first term, which is 2v, and that's going to give us 4v. And then we're going to multiply this 2 by this negative 1. And that's just going to give us negative 2. And that's basically how we would remove the bracket. So now all we would have to do is solve for v. So let's subtract v from both sides of the equation so that these two would cancel out. And our resulting equation would be 3 is equal to 4v minus v minus 2. Okay, and so now that we would have this minus 2 on this side, let's take it over to the next side by adding 2 on both sides. So then these two would cancel out. And our resulting equation would be 3 plus 2 is equal to 4v minus v. And basically, let's just solve the equation. We'll have 3 plus 2, which is 5. And then 4v minus v will be 3v. Because 4v minus this 1v will give us 3v. And so now we would just have to remove the 3 by dividing by 3 on both sides. So then this 3 over 3 will just cancel out to give us 1. And then v will be equal to 5 over 3. Or you can just put it in this form. It's the same thing. So that's basically how to solve that question. I hope you guys had a wonderful time learning these linear equations today. And yeah, like, comment, and subscribe. And comment down below again what you would like to see next. Thank you. Bye.